Hello, I'm Shauna and this is Shauna's World, and welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and welcome if it's your first time. You are very, very welcome here. Today I wanted to do a tour of my boat. I live on a boat on the Thames in London, and I get quite a lot of questions about it on Instagram and in real life, so I thought I'd do a little tour so you can see a bit what tiny living is like and how I've made it work for me. I'm not going to show too much of the outside of the boat. I'll show some bits, but just because of privacy and people being able to track me down. But I'll show the interior and hopefully that will be interesting. Now, I'll warn you now, you might have seen on Instagram and on YouTube lots of kind of picture perfect van life, boat life, tiny living spaces. And 9 times out of 10, that's not the reality. That's been styled very much to look very perfect online. But living in a tiny space is actually quite different from that. It can be very cluttered, it can be hard to keep it clean. So obviously I've made my boat as nice as possible for this video, but it definitely isn't perfect. It definitely has a bit of clutter. Living in a small space can be really challenging at times, and just having space for all my stuff, even though I've downsized, can be difficult, and keeping it organised, which I find hard at the best of time. So I ask you just to try not to compare it to some of those picture perfect ones you may have seen. I want to be as real about this as possible. These are the realities of tiny living, and even those people with the picture perfect vans and boats, they have clutter and they have dirt as well, because it's just impossible to do tiny living without it. Also, there are a few bits that I haven't finished working on my boat, like painting or things like that. So I'll talk you through what I'm going to do, but just note it's not, again, not perfect. So I bought this boat about 2 years ago, and it was a complete wreck. It had no proper floor, no insulation, no fire, none of that stuff. So I spent a couple of months, well, a good few months getting it fixed up. And now it is very much livable. I've been living here for about 1.5 years, and it's a work in progress, but I'm very, very happy with where it is at now. So I'll talk you through the space and how I've made it work for me with some of the challenges of boat life. So here she is. Now, where you first come in the door, I have these electrical panels, which are all my fuses and things, and show me how much power I have left in my battery. I'm fully solar powered for my electricity, so I have to keep an eye on those throughout the day, particularly in the winter. I also keep my recycling and rubbish on this shelf just because it's near the door. I don't have any rubbish collection from where I live, so I have to take my rubbish to just a bin on the side of the street. So every time I'm going out, I just grab a bag of rubbish and take it out. And then with my recycling, I take it to the recycling centre at Sainsbury's. I have hooks on the back of the door, which I use for coats, dressing gown and towels, so it gets a bit crowded. And it's also gone a bit mouldy on the back of the door where I've had stuff hanging and it's damp outside, so I need to come up with a better solution for that, but I just don't really have anywhere to hang things like towels and coats. So still working on that. So on the right hand side when you come in is just a little loo. It's literally just a compost toilet in there. I started when I moved on having a cassette toilet, but I just found it such a faff to deal with and I wanted to kind of be more sustainable. So I invested in a compost toilet, which has been great so far. But I haven't had a full composted bin of the compost yet, so I don't even know what I'm going to do with that compost because I don't have a garden. But it's definitely better than like having to find places to empty a cassette toilet. The door on the toilet is hinged, so it means that there's more space for opening it and it doesn't get in the way, and then it just locks away out of the way when I'm not using it. And also I've had the idea that I'm going to put a full-length mirror on one of the panels of the folding door, so that I can fold it out and then stand in the middle of the galley and look in the mirror when I get around to doing that. Then the next thing you have is the kind of kitchen slash office, which is maybe not how most homes are set up, but it works for me. And I have a Butler Sink, which I got off eBay for a really good deal, but it cost loads to get it delivered, but was so worth it. I just think it's so much nicer than a normal sink, especially on a boat. And I have my fridge area, which so basically I never had a fridge for the first year of living on the boat, and it was really difficult because food would just go off so quickly and I had to shop pretty much every day. And then I wasn't sure if I'd have enough power to run the fridge with my solar, but I invested in a fridge over the summer, and it has been so great, and there's plenty of power for it in the summer, and then in the winter and now I've just turned it off, so I have all my food on top of it and I have to kind of shop for shorter periods of time, but it keeps all right. That said, I can't wait to get my fridge back up and running. It was so nice to be able to just shop for a whole week and not have to worry about things going off. I also fairly recently got some blackboard paint and painted this wall here with chalkboard paint, and I've got my goals written up there in chalk, and I'll replace those every year with my new goals and tick them off as they go. I've got my prayer flags from Nepal, where I had a really wonderful holiday last year. And then I have a really great oven and 2 hobs, all gas powered. The gas is outside the boat. And then I have these chopping boards that go on top of the gas hobs, and then I can take them off and put them back as and when I'm using the hobs or need the chopping board. I have a fairly reasonable amount of storage for all my pots and pans and plates and my dry food, so I keep that under the sink, and it's been fine. I would like to have more storage, but it's fine for a small space. I think I'm doing all right with it. I also have my cleaning supplies and my DIY stuff over here tucked away, and it's kind of a mess in this compartment, but you know, I can find what I need generally and it works, so maybe I'll find a better solution one day, maybe I won't. And right next to the food storage is my home office, which is just a desk. It's quite good. It has a drawer, but it's the desk that came with the boat. It was here when I moved on, so it's just a bit falling apart and not the best, but it would be such a faff to move it and get a new one. And now my water system is built around it, so I think it's staying. This is my desk chair, which is not ideal for being on it 8 hours a day, but it folds away, so it's kind of useful for being in this small space. I also have a really great water system, which is a newish addition. I didn't have any way of getting water easily before, and I was basically borrowing my neighbour's water filtration device. I invested in my own. It wasn't cheap. It was like a few £100 to get it all set up. But now I can pump water out of the river, filter it, purify it, and then into my water tank, so it comes out the tap and I can drink that water, and it's really fantastic. So here's the water system. It comes up, you put the hose out into the river, it comes in through this water system, through there, and then through another hose it goes out the other side of the boat. So it's really pretty awesome. I've tried to work storage throughout the boat, and I've got quite a lot of storage for such a small space. I could do with more, but I'd probably just end up buying more stuff if I got more storage, and I want to keep it minimalist, so I like as it is. I've got some of these stackable pull-out drawers, and I use them to store anything from medication and vitamins, toiletries and camera gear and electronics. So this is my wardrobe. I've just got a rail like this hanging from the ceiling. I think I got it at IKEA ages ago when I still had a flat and never used it, and it's fantastic. I have all of my hanging clothes, tops and trousers here, and then the only other clothes I have are socks and underwear, which are in one of the pull-out drawer bins, and then I have a few other bits like the occasional like warm jumper and waterproof that I've got. Like my waterproof trousers are in storage bins under the bed because I don't use them that often, so I don't have to have them that accessible. And then I have the cozy, toasty, warm part of the boat, which is the log burner doing its thing. It's a multi-fuel stove, so you can burn wood or coal, or I burn fire logs because they're a bit more environmentally friendly, and they they're just really easy to use. Like, I don't have space to store a lot of wood. I have a bit of wood that I throw on as an extra, but the fire logs, you just set fire to the packet and then they burn for a couple of hours, and that's generally enough. I put on maybe 1 or 2 a day, and that keeps me toasty warm, and they're just so convenient and efficient. Probably a bit pricier than buying normal fuel, but they're more environmentally friendly, so I'm happy with that. I also want to get some tiles behind the log burner here, and just to make it a bit more fire safe and protected, and also look pretty. I keep my shoes here, which is probably not the prettiest or the best storage solution, but I have nowhere else to put them, so it works. So under the bed there's quite a lot of storage space, and I have some big storage bins, and I use that space for things I don't use every day, like backpacks, sleeping bags, camping stuff, tents, some waterproofs, and it's kind of, I use them fairly regularly, so it can be a bit annoying to like pull out all the bins, but it's definitely the best way of doing it. That's where I keep my laundry bag as well. So to do my laundry, I use a service where they collect it all one night and then wash it and dry it and bring it back the next day, and it's really fantastic. It's not cheap, but it's just definitely better than spending loads of time in a laundrette. And then I think one of the best parts of the boat is the bed. It's got these wooden bits framing it, it just feels really cozy in there. I've got fairy lights around the top, which is lovely at night, and I've got my portholes, and I've got a hatch at the back, which wasn't there when I moved in. Putting the hatch in was a great decision because it means I have so much more natural light, and that's also how I refill my water. I put the hose out of the window into the water tank. I have a little bit of storage space in this cubby next to my bed, and that is generally quite cluttered, so I keep like books and notebooks and my laptop and kind of things I use quite regularly, because I lounge in bed quite a lot. I kind of, when I'm not at work, because I want to separate my workspace and my like fun space, I hang out on my bed quite a lot on my laptop or on my phone or reading or whatever, just chilling out. Got a couple of paintings on the wall. That one's from the favelas in Brazil, Capoeira, and that one was a gift from my friend Jessica from Venice, and they're really beautiful and they make me really happy. As I said, I won't show you too much of the outside for safety reasons, but I'll just show you a few bits that are interesting and hopefully not reveal my location. So as I said, I keep my gas outside, and that goes straight towards my cooker. I have my compost bin, which is where I compost my waste from the compost toilet, and I also put coffee grounds in there because that helps it compost. This is my dinghy, which I use to get to the land because I'm moored like right in the middle of the river, not on the land. And I put fat balls out for the birds to make it a bit more hospitable for our feathered friends. And these are my solar panels, which give me the electricity I need for everything I do. I actually had 3 solar panels to start with when I bought the boat, but once in a stormy night, one of the solar panels blew into the river, and someone did actually dive down and see if he could see it, but it wasn't there. It must have like been carried down the river. So that concludes my boat tour. I hope you found it interesting. I love my little patch. It's small. I actually don't know the measurements of my boat, but I think it's about 7 or 8 meters. So it's a small space, but it's good enough for me, and like I'm so happy living here and being right on the river and being surrounded by ducks and geese and living the dream. So I hope you've enjoyed having a little peek into tiny living and what it's like. And if you have any questions about boat life, or if there's any other videos you want to see about boat life, please let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!